In 1958, when the CIA was seeking the perfect fighting force to disrupt the Viet Cong on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, they found the Hmong, an ethnic group of people living in the mountains of Laos. After just 3 days of training, CIA operative Bill Lair knew he had found his army. I mean, you would think they had helicopters. They could move through the mountain like nobody else could. They were perfect. By 1963, more than 300,000 Hmong lived in the mountains of Laos, 19,000 of which were recruited into Vang Pao's army known as the Special Guerrilla Unit, or SGU. The SGU earned many victories in the field early on. However, by 1969, more than 18,000 Hmong soldiers had perished, and Vang Pao's army began to dwindle. By the turn of the decade, 3,000 more Hmong men would have been lost, and more than 6,000 returned home wounded. Unable to replenish his fighting force quickly with able-bodied men, they turned to the recruitment of young boys.
The United States spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the war. The Hmong army, suffering heavy casualties, recruited children.
What sort of gun is that he's carrying?
M16. He said can do two things, automatically and semi-automatic.
How old is he?
10 years old.
It's believed that the recruitment of boys began as early as 1964, and although no formal records are kept on the number of young boys who served in the SGU, it's clear that the recruitment of young boys was not a rare occurrence.
A short time ago, we rounded up 300 fresh recruits. 30% were 14 years old or less, and 10 of them were only 10 years old. Another 30% were 15 or 16. The remaining 40% were 45 or over. Where were the ones in between? I'll tell you, they're all dead.
By 1971, the average age of the Hmong soldier was 15 years old. There are many accounts of young boys who willingly volunteered to join the army in hopes of being provided pay and shelter. However, there are equal accounts of boys who were kidnapped, coerced, and forced to join the army. They were paid an average monthly salary of just $3. The only requirement? Simple. Be taller than the gun you were instructed to carry.
Well, I think we had kind of an informal rule that the boy had to be at least as tall as an M1 rifle to become a soldier, which is about 4 feet tall or 3.5 or something.
So they had to be as tall as an M1 rifle, which is
maybe 10 years old, something like that. And they were brave. They were too young to be afraid.
When South Vietnam fell, the domino effect rippled across Southeast Asia. Laos was next to collapse under communist tension. When the dust settled, more than 30,000 Hmong men and boys had lost their lives. When we think of Hmong heroes, we think of the men who sacrificed their lives to protect their homeland and their way of life. But let's not forget the child soldiers who gave up their childhood and ultimately their life to fight a grown man's war.